Ladies and gentlemen, hello! Welcome to Swamp. A map that is detestable for many reasons, not least of which because it has a meta. And its meta had a meta. Its meta went out, got a job as a meta, met a nice meta, had some kid metas, and then the kids had more kids, and then the original meta died and the new meta became a meta. There's a lot of metas. The main one is that this side wins. That's the meta, because all this side does, put a light tank there, put fire support there, anyone who goes up there instantly dies, pretty much, at which point the enemy have no force on there, so this team can just YOLO round straight up under there, and they immediately get an advantage. That's the meta on this game, okay? The southeast team do not take this flank. They just don't. And you're going to see that at the start of the game here. You're going to see exactly what I mean. There's a beautiful little light tank heading up there, wanting to get some spots and see what you can see. And what are we looking at here? Michal from Nomi, I think. Nomi? Non. Is waiting for this. For some poor, uninformed medium tank who evidently did not know about the meta to attempt to take that flank and die horribly as a result. Welcome to Swamp, mate. And look, the Skoda has literally already done what I said. Ain't it nice knowing things? Okay, so whilst we sit back and enjoy this incredibly entertaining gameplay consisting of a very campy tank destroyer sitting on a ridge and shooting at people in the distance, I will bring you up to speed on just what this tank destroyer is. Alright, so
yeah, what is
STRV. Hey, J-Dog, I'm doing a commentary. It is the STRV 103B Tier 10 Swedish. Oh, there goes J-Dog. Okay, STRV-B Tier 10 Swedish tank destroyer. Rate of fire 8.57 rounds per minute with 390 alpha damage. Oh, who left then? Ah, the man will work out. So, without siege mode, which is a characteristic of these, the tier 8, the tier 9, and the tier 10 Swedish tank destroyers, you would be looking at 0.3 accuracy and a 3-second aim time with that gun. When you're in siege mode, however, and I'll just mention why you're not in siege mode, your gun is like this. This is your gun. You can't. It literally has no traverse anywhere. You have to move your entire tank if you're not in siege mode. When you're in siege mode, that works, but the stabilization actually allows you to move your gun up and down and gets you some quite nice bonuses as well. For example, 0.24 accuracy. 0.24. That is the best in the entire game. In the entire game, there is nothing better. Likewise, with the aim time, as you're seeing here, 0.98 of a second is the aim time of this STRV when it is in siege mode. This is a sniper. It brings precision that you can find nowhere else. As you're seeing here, these kind of shots, you are confident that they will hit pretty much every single time. 730 horsepower engine with a tank that weighs about 38 tons, 40 tons, something like that. So horsepower per ton ratio of about 18.11. What else? Oh, there's an interesting thing. So these Swedish tanks are interesting for many reasons, one of which is that the overmatch mechanic plays into them quite heavily. And in fact, there was, when the patch came in which these things were introduced, there was thoughts of removing the overmatch mechanic from the game to make them even better, which would have been just bloody ridiculous. As it happens, overmatch mechanic is still here. for those of you who don't know what the overmatch mechanic is, when a shell hits the armor of a tank, there's a calculation that takes place, alright, as to pen level, as to whether it is going to pen the enemy tank. However, the overmatch mechanic means that if a shell hits a bit of armor that is 3 times less than the caliber of it, or the caliber of the shell is 3 times higher than the armor that it hits, for example, you hit 20 millimeters of armor with a 60 millimeter shell, or 40 millimeters of armor with a 121 millimeter shell. That will trigger the overmatch mechanic, and no matter what angle, even if you hit an auto bounce angle, you hit the armor. If your caliber is 3 times higher than the armor, you are going to penetrate it no matter what. That applies with all armor-piercing shells, AP, APCR, etc. Alright? And the reason I mention this is because it plays in heavily, because the front of this tank is one giant ricochet angle. Look at that. You will not pen that without the benefit of an over... God damn it! Go and violate yourself with a small duck while I strangle you with a monkey's tail. Okay, alright. I'll be right back. My keyboard has just tried to murder me again. Oh, and my space bar's taken a walk. God's sake. What the hell is going on here?
And folks, you'll see, you've just seen it live here on Twitch. Steve doing one of his commentaries, and this is why it's Honest Gaming, because he always fucks that up.
I blame Tannis. Tannis? Hello? It's definitely Tannis's fault.
Did you draw any blood this time?
No, it missed my foot.
User joined your channel.
So...
When are you gonna fix that frickin' keyboard?
I don't know. It's harder than it looks, man. Because we don't have any, like, things to fix it, so I'll just put it in. Maybe I'll duct tape it. Screw it. Okay, alright. So where the hell was I? Overmatch mechanic, I believe. Now, in the case of this tank and the tier 9... it has 40 millimeters of armor at the front. In this case, 40, 30, 30, right? So what that means is that if you were to engage a tortoise frontally in this tank, it could not pen you unless it hits the tiny, tiny cupolas on the top of this tank, right? Because it has a 120 millimeter gun. And you require 121 millimeters of caliber on the gun to pen the front of this tank. And that's an odd consideration to have to make in a tank, isn't it? Not just the penetration that you have, but the caliber of that gun. That IS-3 would have an easier time penning this tank than an STB-1. And yet an Object 430U would pen this tank easily, whereas a 140 would not. It's something that you've got to consider when playing this tank, and it means that far beyond just being a sniper, combine that with the mobility of this tank, 50 kilometers an hour top speed frontally, and 45 in reverse. These tanks are very fast, both forwards and backwards. 308 millimeters of pen with standard ammo, and what? 388? Is it? 350, my mistake. 350 with the premium APCR. APCR is also standard. 308 millimeters is the same on the STRV 103 at tier 9, which I am currently playing as well. Not really enjoying that tank. I play well enough in it, but it just doesn't suit my playstyle. So, this is one of the reasons that made me commentate on this replay. Sure, you got loads of damage, but I've ignored many of these replays. And if you sat in the base at this point. I probably wouldn't have commentated on it, but it's nice to see him knowing when it's needed to get off his butt and go in. Because so many people in situations like this would just sit and wait and camp, and the enemy team would come into them. And those are not many plays that I enjoy commentating on, but there's something you've got to respond to. He's got 2 allies left, none of which are equipped to deal with the Type 4 Heavy or pretty much any of these enemy tanks that are left on the field in front of him. He's going to use the mobility of this tank. You can see him switching in and out of siege mode. It is a problem with this tank. It doesn't require like 1.5, 2 seconds. It's troubling. It is extremely troubling. I've found it a learning curve to know when to switch and when to switch out. When you are in siege mode, you're limited to 10 kilometers an hour forwards and 10 kilometers an hour backwards. And now, he has got a 1 versus 3, already sitting on 10,000 damage. That Type 4 Heavy doesn't look like he has the big gun, but the thing is, all of these tanks, apart from the STB-1, can just shoot him anywhere on the frontal armor, because they will overmatch his tank every single time. There's no way. But and you see the STB-1 there, because he's not got a caliber 120mm, or higher than 120mm, he bounces clean off. That said, doesn't matter, does it? Because 12,000 damage and a Gladly Waters is not enough to save the team that spawned on the side of the map that gives you an inherent advantage. Because there is nothing in all the realms of all the universe that can surprise you more than the collective incompetence of random teams in World of Tanks. I've seen people lose defensive assault on Sand River. It's almost as bad. Oh. Gentlemen, there's not much to look back on with hindsight in this replay, actually. I think Bjorn, was it Bjorn? Michao played pretty much perfectly. And it's odd to see a tank destroyer replay where I'm at the end thinking, where I'm not at the end thinking, I should have done this sooner, or I should have done that sooner. No, throughout this replay, he was responsive, he was quick, he did what he needed to be, and he was constantly shooting with 8.5 rounds per minute, which is why he ended up on 12,000 damage despite a loss. That's gonna be painful, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you got something out of this replay. I hope you enjoyed it, you sick, demented fool, you. And yeah, farewell.